G'day, welcome to this Australian Open Live produced by Wise Words Media. We're based in Melbourne, Australia, home of the Australian Open at Melbourne Park. And we are bringing to you today the Spotlight series, and today we are shining a spotlight on Player Watch. The player we are watching is the 13th seed at this year's US Open in New York. He also just happens to be ranked number 30 in the world. That's Alex de Minaur, the Demon, a very, very popular player with fans and, of course, all of his peers on the tennis circuit. And we've got a lot of great stories behind the stats, the player behind the stats. We've got a lot to get through in the next hour or so. So boil the kettle, make a cup of tea, find your favourite armchair. And if you're in New York at the moment, where it's currently, it's about, it is exactly, not about, 3:36 a.m. in the morning. What are you doing up at this time of day? We'll put your slippers on. If it's not too hot there at 26 degrees and clear at 3:30 in the morning. But in Melbourne, Australia, it is currently around about 12, 13, 14, 15 degrees. We've lost track because the tennis has been so compelling since qualifying started about 2 weeks ago. So strap yourself in because we're going to do a little bit of this. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Yep, g'day, welcome back to this Australian Open Live produced by Wise Words Media. We're based in Melbourne, Australia, the home of the Australian Open. And boy, have we got a great Player Watch episode, part of our Spotlight series. We're shining a spotlight on Alex de Minaur, the Demon, ranked 13th in the world, 13th at this year's US Open. We found a great profile piece published in the public domain the other day, and we've just got to share it with you. But the other thing, if you'll just take a look at the bottom right hand corner of your screen, we're just going to do things a little bit differently today. It's the year of doing things differently here on the United States of Play at this Australian Open Live. We're going to be going through the head-to-head. That's right. When we saw Rinky Hijikata and Alex de Minaur, two Australian men through to the men's singles round of 16, fourth round of the US Open. Can't remember the last time that happened in a Grand Slam. Well, we thought we've got to have a piece of this. We did a player profile, a Spotlight series, Player Watch on Rinky last night, and today it is Alex de Minaur. And we're going to do a little bit different because we'll go to that profile piece a little bit later on, because Alex de Minaur tomorrow, around about not before 4 a.m. local Australian time. He has his match not starting before, let's just double check the schedule here, the schedule of play. It's a Labor Day holiday in America tomorrow, and on Louis Armstrong Stadium, not before 4 p.m. local time in New York, Alex de Minaur, the 13th seed, takes on Daniil Medvedev, the number 3 seed at this year's US Open, and we've found some pretty interesting stats, and you can see it right there on the screen. It's right there for you to enjoy. This is the head-to-head stats for every single tournament match these two chaps have played over the journey since they first met, and luckily for us, for a change, the screen is interactive, so we'll be able to show you that live on the screen, sharing that screenshot. But as always, we like to educate our audience, and we're happy to share all the information we can find. So in the chat box, you'll find a little bit, not more than a little bit, a lot of information about Alex de Minaur. Not so much about Daniil Medvedev, because let's be honest, we've got a little bit of bias here towards the Australians, and that's the whole reason we're here today and yesterday. Today, I'm getting confused. Oh boy, last night and then today and tomorrow. Normally we would have wrapped things up well and truly by now, but yeah, 2 Aussies, 2 guys in the men's singles at a Grand Slam in the second week. That doesn't happen every day. So we're going to profile Alex de Minaur. We're going to profile him, and then we'll go into that profile piece as well. But we're going to look at the head-to-head first after we do this. And while we look at the head-to-head, we're going to serve up some sights, sounds, summer of tennis at Melbourne Park. This Australian Open Life, we've been covering the Australian Open now for a couple of years, and next year will be our 3rd year on deck there. So speaking of decks, let's take a look at these deck chairs. Now, don't worry, we'll keep that interactive screen there for you that you can see. We'll just shift this down a tiny bit maybe. Oh, not that way. We'll just shift this down here a little bit. There we go. So you've got that interactive screen there. So while we're going through this, and we'll switch back to the full screen intermittently there so you can see the stats. So let's take a look at the head-to-head between Daniil Medvedev and Alex de Minaur. These two guys have played quite a few times. Let's go into this, and we'll just transition back towards this. That's not what I wanted, actually. Just chat amongst yourselves while we get our act together. That was the screen, unfortunately, so we will go back to this one. And yeah, no, we haven't got our L plates on today. This is what we wanted, and the head-to-head for Daniil Medvedev, and we'll come back to the sights, sounds, summer of tennis directly, but we've got some really interesting stats here for you, and we'll be able to go through those now, because what we like to do in the Spotlight series, and generally, it's unusual for us to profile a player ranked in the top 20 in the world. We usually like to stick to the players doing the qualifying, but Alex de Minaur, we've got a soft spot for him. So let's take a look at his results in match play against the Russian. So let's just take a look. You should be able to see that. Yep, that's changing for us. Very good. So they've played 6 times over the journey. And Alex de Minaur is feeling pretty confident, because I'll tell you why. If we go down to the 3 most recent tournaments, have a look at this, the event breakdown. And if you're an Australian tennis fan and you're looking for another US Open men's singles champion, it's been a while since Leighton Hewitt got up about 20 years ago. So have a look at this in the most recent meetings. Since 2022, Alex de Minaur on hard courts, and the US Open held on a hard court. He's been putting away a little bit of learning against the Russian, and despite losing the first 4 matches, their meetings, you can see there at the ATP Cup last year, outdoor hard court, it was a victory to the Russian in straight sets. But have a look at Alex de Minaur. Had a great 2022 and made it to the ATP Masters 1000 in Paris, France. That is the end-of-season tournament held every year for players up the top of the rankings. And he finally made it there to that indoor hardcourt tournament. And have a look at this. In the round of 32, he met Daniil Medvedev and defeated him in the round of 32 in 3 sets. The first victory against that opponent for de Minaur, the Demon, winning 6-4, 2-6, 7-5, and then cop this. Just recently, in the US hardcourt season, the run of tournaments, the lead up to the US Open 2023 in Flushing Meadow, New York, at the Billie Jean King Tennis Centre, if you don't mind, National Tennis Centre, at the ATP Masters 1000 in Canada, on the outdoor hardcourt surface, the quarterfinal, Alex de Minaur, victorious in straight sets, 7-6, 7-5. The signs are looking good for the Australian. We won't worry about the Premier Gold Pass. So how does it stack up on all the other stats? You can see that although Medvedev has a 4-2 lead in their head-to-heads, he's lost the last 2 matches. De Minaur, he is heading into his mid-20s there, you can see. Both over 6 foot. De Minaur, a little bit deceptive to the eye. I've always imagined him as a fairly lithe chap, not built all that much, but he is coming into his own. I always get surprised when I realise and remind myself that he's actually 6 foot, because to me, he looks to be in the territory of around about 5'9" or 10. But de Minaur, just going back to that head-to-head statistics there, he is, and I'll just use this screen. Which screen am I using? Because I want to make sure the viewers can follow me as I'm talking. Just got to go back to this interaction here. So you'll see that Medvedev, right-handed, two-handed player, two-handed backhand. Same for de Minaur, right-handed, two-handed backhand player. Medvedev turned pro 2014, just a year ahead of the Demon. They're both in their mid-20s. Now the titles, de Minaur picked up a title through the US Open hardcourt season, and we'll find out what that was later on. And the career win-loss, look, let's skip that, to be honest, because they've started at different times. Career titles, 7 for de Minaur, 20 for Medvedev, and career prize money, well, who said there was a cost of living crisis at the top end of the tennis circles? So we'll leave that there. That's the head-to-heads for these chaps against each other. And let us know what you think of this format for this presentation. It's a little bit different, a little bit new, a little bit more dynamic than what we usually put up, and we don't usually profile players in the top 20, but of course we've decided to make an exception today because of Alex de Minaur's progress into, and he's now not only in the round of 16, the 4th round at Flushing Meadow, New York. He is the only Australian left in the men's or the women's draw. Rinky Hijikata going down today in straight sets to the 10th seed, the American Francis Tiafoe. Is it Tiafoe or Tiafoe? Never mind. The Americans won't care. that chap getting through to the quarterfinals. So let us know in the chat what you think, and we'll come back and see what you've dropped in the comments or the chat there as soon as we do this. Tell stories at this Australian Open Life because that's what we like to do. G'day, welcome back to our special presentation. It's a player watch theme, part of the Spotlight series produced by Wise Words Media. This Australian Open Life, we're based in Melbourne, Australia, home of the Australian Open at Melbourne Park, and we are living vicariously through our browser, imagining that we are having a bit of a snooze at the moment in New York. It's coming up to 4 in the morning, but we are alive and kicking here in Melbourne because we're going through Alex de Minaur's. We've just done a head-to-head there against his round of 16, fourth round opponent, Daniil Medvedev, and the signs are looking good there for Daniil Medvedev. So if you're just joining us, where have you been? You can replay this episode to your heart's content later on, but we're going to kick on and keep on keeping on because we've got a lot to get through. So whenever you hear that sound, we're kicking it up a gear, recalibrating, switching direction. And the direction that we're switching in, just want to let you know a little bit of housekeeping actually. So just concentrate for a second. We are pumping in a whole lot of information into the chat box for you. Some comments there from Alex de Minaur as he's been progressing through. And we've also got the stories behind the stats. We've just done the head-to-head. We don't mind sharing information here. We don't claim to be the be-all and the end-all. We don't, just because we know a bit of information doesn't mean we own it. So we like to share it. So we've put up the head-to-head profile there from the ATP Tour website, and also a link to Alex de Minaur's bio there for you, and all the details you need to know about the round of 16, fourth round match there at the US Open 2023, the schedule of play for day 8, Monday the 4th of September 2023, Louis Armstrong Stadium. Matches are going to kick off in about 18 hours at 11 o'clock in the morning in New York. Guess what? The Yanks are having a Labor Day holiday tomorrow. Good on them. I didn't think they took holidays, public holidays in America, because they all work too much. But anyway, Daniil Medvedev, the third seed at the US Open 2023, playing the 13th seed, Alex de Minaur of Australia. He is surging into the top 10 rankings this year. He's had a great 2023. And just to round things off, I've popped in the link to the IBM Slam Tracker for this match. Now, if you want to join the conversation, please, would you please join the conversation? We're sick of talking to ourselves. In fact, I've got a better idea. Why don't you just start a conversation in the chat now? You only need to be a subscriber for a grand total. It'll just cost you 60 seconds of your time, and you can have a chat with us, and it'd be great to hear the thoughts of our audience. A lot of them are local, but many of you are global and definitely not general. So we like to know what you're thinking because our audience is pretty switched on when it comes to the tennis and the Grand Slams, and we've been thrilled this year to switch up our coverage and expand our content, make it more interactive, more dynamic, and bring you live broadcast match play coverage, point by point coverage, covering all the Grand Slams this year, and it's been a thrill to bring the qualifying days and the first 2 days of every Grand Slam to our audience. And why are we doing that? Well, the story is that the reason we've been doing that is because some of the best stories, the stories behind the stats, are often found in the lower ranks. Anyone in the top 100, the margins are so fine, and a lot of these players that aren't making headlines every single Grand Slam, they've got to grind it out on the Challenger Tour and the back blocks and build up those rankings points, because if they can't get into the top 100, they've got to play qualifying. And it's a really tough gig. As Jordan Thompson, the Australian player, said at the start of this tournament, it's not as glamorous as it looks, and we know that for a fact because we've been following these guys and girls. It'll be our 3rd year next year, the Australian Open, and we'll be covering the match play, bringing you the results, the scores, the tiers, the tantrums, the injury timeouts, all in an audio-only radio style, full coverage, a full set of from all live matches, as many as we can handle, and that you can you can enjoy. I was going to say something else there, but come on, join the conversation and let us know what you think about Alex de Minaur's chances. He's the last Australian left standing. Rinky Hijikata went down in straight sets around about 9 o'clock this morning, local Australian time. So we're going to throw all our eggs in one basket and cheer on the Demon, looking to break into the top 10 for the first time in his career. He's been treading water a bit over the last couple of years, the young Aussie, but it's his time to shine, and we hope he gets through. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're looking forward to seeing a few comments in the chat there, and we appreciate you all dropping in to see what's going on during this live presentation, and we'll come back and then we'll rip into the profile, the stories behind the stats for Alex de Minaur, the 13th seed from Australia, as he prepares to take on the 3rd seed, the Russian Daniil Medvedev, seeded 3rd at the US Open 2023. Don't go away, we'll be right back. And our story is tennis. G'day, welcome back to this Australian Open Live. It is the Player Watch, part of our Spotlight series. We are shining a spotlight on and showcasing the 13th seed at this year's US Open 2023 in the men's singles in about 18 hours, maybe 24 hours actually. Getting our time zones mixed up. the 13th seed from the west of Sydney, but he lives in Spain most of the time and speaks fluent Spanish. Alex de Minaur, the Australian, 24 years old, and we have been spending the last 30 minutes just checking out the basics of the stories behind the stats for this extremely well-credentialed, high-performing Australian men's singles tennis player. He's got a thriving career on the ATP tour, and we're just looking into a little bit about this quiet, achieving Australian. Spit it out. Come on. So we saw this profile piece the other day, published in the public domain, and it was just too good to let it slip by, and we wanted to share it with our audience, who are, a lot of them are local, many of them are global, and a lot of them you definitely are not general. So let's get on to that and just ease our way through this profile on Alex de Minaur, the Australian number 13th seed from Sydney, Australia. And just a reminder, every time you hear that stinger, just letting you know, just a little gentle reminder that we're switching things up a gear and recalibrating, changing direction. And the direction that we're heading to, while we look at this profile piece, it is the Sights, Sounds, Summer of Tennis. Going to keep you visually engaged. For those of you that prefer, you like the something going on the screen, well, we can accommodate that with some of our archive footage taken over the last couple of years at the Australian Open at Melbourne Park, just giving you a different view, something that you might not always, well, you definitely won't see these images on the mainstream broadcaster. So enjoy those Sights, Sounds, Summer of Tennis as we look into the career of this profile piece of Alex de Minaur, the Australian 13th seed. So let's crack into that now, actually. And Alex de Minaur, the quiet Australian star, he's roaring into the top 10. He has had he's had a sensational last couple of years, and 2023 has continued. He's been looking to build on the progress that he made in 2022. He has surged into the US Open Final 16, the round of 16, the fourth round, and he's now on the verge of being Australia's first top 10 ranked male player in 20 years. That is so hard to believe, because we've had some decent players over the last 20 years. And Leighton Hewitt, you might remember, he was the most recent Australian men's champion who won the US Open. That's 20 years ago in 2001. Old Leighton, the current captain of the Australian Davis Cup team. Well, if you sit close enough to a tennis court, when Alex de Minaur is at full velocity, the sound of shrieking, audible and ever present during the point, tells the story of the busiest feet in tennis. I tell you what, when I read that for the first time, I had no idea where it was going. The busiest feet in tennis. There's a new cliche that I have never heard before. Oh, well, I suppose if you watch enough games of tennis and you've seen so much tennis on the tour, I guess you might be thinking, no, there's got to be a different way to describe all this. But anyway, as this person observed, the shoes of the Australian Alex de Minaur. He has played with rare verve at the US Open over the past week. Well, I don't know if it's all that rare, to be honest, but the squeak and the squeal with the rubber hitting the hard court of each court there at the US Open. He scampers around retrieving shots that would pass most other players by. Like the roaring and the purring of a Formula One car racing around the track, the noise made by the number 13th seed's dancing feet, it alters from moment to moment, depending on how fast and furiously a rally is unfolding. Now, bear in mind, I haven't written this. I'm just reading something else that someone else has written, and I tell you what, there's a lot of very flowery vivid images being painted there, but it's mainly all audio images. Look, Alex de Minaur has burned the rubber off his shoe soles once again, and he demolished, now we're getting to the point, he demolished the 23rd seed from Chile, Nicolas Jarry, 6-1, 6-3, 6-2. That was the third round match that was held on Court 17 at the Billie Jean King National Tennis Center in New York at Flushing Meadows. That was Saturday, New York time. It continues with this allegory around volume of the busiest feet in tennis, this chap. Anyway, you've got to give him credit for going at it at a different angle. It's the manner with which Alex de Minaur, he'll look to replicate that performance to reach his second US Open quarterfinal, Monday, New York time, and he leads by example off the court. De Minaur reckons that the attention stemming, being given to him, it stems from being ordained as a future leader of Australian tennis. Now, by using the word ordained, does that mean he's a spiritual leader as well of all the Australians, the guys and the girls that are tripping around the planet on these professional tennis careers? But he was, he really, I can still remember Alex de Minaur playing his first Australian Open, actually. He won a match, that first match, and his first interview. And I remember him being interviewed by John Fitzgerald, the former Australian Davis Cup captain, and also no slouch with a racket himself, old Johnny Fitzgerald. And it just struck me, it was just so nice to listen to an Australian tennis player who could articulate himself and answered questions very respectfully. And after all the other carry-on of all the other players, it was nice to see we could produce a very nice young man, as he was back then in 2015, Alex de Minaur, and he's grown and matured into a very capable young bloke in his mid-20s. Now, we might take a break here and continue this profile. Don't go away, we'll be right back. G'day, welcome back to this Australian Open Life. We tell stories, and our story today, it's Alex de Minaur. We are just getting our teeth into the player watch as part of our Spotlight series. On screen in the background, you can enjoy the sights, sounds, summer of tennis taken at Melbourne Park. This archive footage of ours taken over the last couple of years. And let's continue with a little bit of a look into the very admirable career, especially in 2023, of Alex de Minaur, the 13th seed, playing Daniil Medvedev in the round of 16, the fourth round at the in the men's singles tomorrow morning, Australian time, on Louis Armstrong Stadium. And just switching it up a gear here, and as we go back to this profile published the other day in the public domain, which we just could not pass up, to share with our audience. We come across another familiar name, also a Davis Cup player, and he's also a Grand Slam champion, Classy Tanasi Kokkinakis from Adelaide, Australia, who's been around the traps now for some time. And he's heading into his late 20s now. But Tanasi Kokkinakis, when he was asked for his observations, he said that Alex de Minaur prefers to be the guy engaging in small talk with friends in a corner rather being the life of the party. Well, I can relate to that, actually. Kokkinakis saying he's a great guy, Alex de Minaur. He's a ripper. All of us are pretty close in the Australians, but he is all about actions speaking louder than words. He's not the loudest guy in the room. In fact, Kokkinakis says he might be the complete opposite. He might just be the quietest guy in the room. And it's fair to say that Alex de Minaur's development has been incremental. But de Minaur, he'll play Daniil Medvedev, as we said. He's grown to be a leader as his tennis has flourished. And he says that being quite young and being put in position at being at the forefront of Australian tennis, he said he's never been much about being in the spotlight, and he's tried to earn his respect, and he's a strong believer that actions speak louder than words. And for Alex de Minaur, it's just been very important to maintain a respectful image to show what it takes, and we can certainly echo that at this Australian Open Life. We love the way this guy goes about it, the way he scraps on court, and you never ever hear, there's never any box office gossip going on around the life off court of Alex de Minaur, an incredibly hard worker and a real pro, and a great leader for those coming through the ranks. And that includes Rinky Hijikata, 22, also from Sydney, coming through the ranks. Speaking of his remarkable US Open run, which came to an end early this morning Australian time. He was defeated in straight sets by Francis Tiafoe, the 10th seed, the American. He was a wildcard entry into this year's US Open, and he became the 9th man with his run this year at the US Open 2023. There's going to be 9 Aussies ranked inside the top 100 on the ATP Tour, and Tanasi Kokkinakis, he lost his third-round doubles match in the last few hours. He said Kokkinakis said that Alex de Minaur, who was a finalist at the Toronto Masters in 2023, he deserves a lot of credit because according to Tanasi Kokkinakis, it's those quiet guys who let their actions do the talking who are probably the most powerful, because you know when they do say something, that means more than someone who's just talking all the time. And we're not looking at you at the moment at box office, Nick Kyrgios, but Kokkinakis also said that you couldn't ask for a better leader than Alex de Minaur. And he also name-checks Leighton Hewitt as a great leader. And he did a lot of his talking on the court, of course, during his career. And Kokkinakis reckons they're two guys who really set an example as to what it means to compete and give your all. And we could not agree more. So let us know what you think in the comments. You can join the conversation. In fact, we'd rather you start one. We're really interested in your thoughts about this upcoming 4th round match. And also, Alex de Minaur, what's your impressions of this young Australian player? Let us know. You only have to invest a total of 60 seconds when you subscribe, and at the end of that, you can join the conversation in the chat, or maybe you just want to drop a comment at the end of this broadcast. So let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue with this showcase Player Watch profile as part of the Spotlight series produced by Wise Words Media. This Australian Open Life, based in Melbourne, Australia, home of the Australian Open. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Australia's tennis. G'day, welcome back to this Australian Open Life. It is the Spotlight Series. Today we are shining a spotlight on and showcasing through our Player Watch theme the career of Alex de Minaur. Well, not so much as the career as his a little bit of a preview. The stories behind the stats of Alex de Minaur, the 13th seed at this year's US Open. He takes on Daniil Medvedev in the men's singles tomorrow morning Australian time, and he'll be looking to increase his win-loss ratio. He's had a couple of great results this year against Daniil Medvedev. And if you're just joining us, well, where have you been? Because we started off by having a look at the head-to-head between these two blokes, and we are hugely encouraged by the form of Alex de Minaur. He won his first match in 5 attempts against Medvedev in a 3-setter, and then he had a straight sets win in a quarter-final in Toronto in Canada this year in the US hardcourt season in one of the lead-up tournaments to the US Open. So he'd be feeling pretty cool, calm and collected, but let's face it, that's his general demeanour anyway, which we really like the way he goes about things. So we're just about to finish off the player profile that we came across, which was just too good to pass up. We had to share that with our audience and let them know what we found, because we don't usually profile the elite level top 20 tennis players at this Australian Open Life. We like to learn a lot about the players ranked in the top 100, the qualifiers who are trying to get back into main Grand Slam tournament play, and the guys and the girls that do it tough on the Challenger circuit, building up their rankings points. But with 2 Australian men in the singles in the round of 16, the 4th round, Rinky Hijikata going down today in straight sets to Frances Tiafoe. Well, we just had to have a go at bringing you some extra special content with these 2 chaps. So let's just see what Alex de Minaur has to say about Australian tennis and the health of Australian tennis generally as he prepares to face Daniil Medvedev. And we'll be finishing off that profile piece with these comments from Alex de Minaur, because he revels in the success of his compatriots. Thanasi Kokkinakis had a 3rd round doubles match. Unfortunately, in the men's, he lost that in the last few hours. And but de Minaur says that with the emergence of Rinky Hijikata over the past year, he became a men's doubles champion with Jason Kubler, another Australian who's been doing well over the last 12 months. And don't forget about Max Purcell and Matt Ebden, also doubles champions at Wimbledon. Was it last year or this year? Geez, tell you what, it gets away from you if you're not concentrating. But in New York, particularly this year, the results for Hijikata have delighted Alex de Minaur, and he says there's nothing I love more. Seeing all the Aussies playing well at Grand Slams and other tournaments, including the 5th Grand Slam, Indian Wells, because Alex de Minaur, he knows they have the level to succeed. It just makes him so happy to see these guys pushing and doing what they do best, and it's great to be a part of it. A real team player mentality from de Minaur, and he's had a strong season on the ATP Tour, and that includes winning a 7th title in Acapulco in Mexico. He's had 3 other finals appearances this year in 2023, and that has propelled Alex de Minaur to a career-high ranking of 12. Currently sits 13 in the world, 13th seed at the US Open. Alex de Minaur is now within range of becoming the first Australian, get this, the first Australian since Leighton Hewitt to break into the top 10, and he's also a contender to debut at the prestigious ATP Tour Finals event. This year they're being held in November in Italy, in Turin. Wouldn't you like to be courtside to watch those blokes going around at the end of the year as they wind down for their Christmas break. Well, probably Christmas break. Most of them be going to Florida or the Middle East to keep themselves in shape before the Australian Open. But Alex de Minaur, he's carried his great form of 2023 into New York, where aside from a second set lapse in the opening round, that was against Timothy Skartov. Now, just as an aside, I'll interrupt myself here because Alex de Minaur, I'd like to see him playing those sort of matches against those sort of players, getting through them a bit quicker. It seems to me that sometimes he does take a little bit longer than I would like to get through those matches. But let me know what you think in the chat or the comments below. Do you think Alex de Minaur can wrap up his early Grand Slam matches a little bit quicker, or am I just being a little bit too particular for my own good? But anyway, as we know, in the third round against the Chilean 23rd seed Nicolas Jarry, de Minaur was unstoppable in straight sets, and it was great to see because Jarry had troubled de Minaur in the previous two matches in tournaments where they'd met, and he faced only one break point from Nicolas Jarry, and he won 86 of the 140 points played during that match against Nicolas Jarry. And it was a bit of a surprise to everyone that that match was so lopsided. But I tell you what, when you're hot, you're hot, and it was basically Alex de Minaur getting the business done, and so focused with the busiest dancing feet in tennis. Where do they come up with these cliches, these guys? Anyway, I suppose you've got to give him a bit of credit for being a little bit more inventive with the written word than usual. But continuing on to finish off this profile of Alex de Minaur, the 13th seed Australian. He faces Daniil Medvedev tomorrow, Australian time, early in the morning. But as against Medvedev in the Paris Masters late last year, de Minaur enjoyed a significant breakthrough when he defeated the Russian for the first time. He'd had 4 losses in a row, playing the Russian 4 times for 4 losses. And since winning, Alex de Minaur has broken even in matches against top 10 ranked rivals. And that suggests that de Minaur's belief he can beat the best in the world now, that has real legitimacy. Well, I'd argue that he's always had the ability to beat top 10 ranked men's players. It's maybe just now he's actually starting to put it together. I guess tennis, like most sports, is all in the head at this level. The margins are so fine. Now, the challenge for Alex de Minaur is to sustain this peak level of tennis over 5 sets now in Grand Slams against legitimate contenders. And I'll tell you what, the men's draw really sorted itself out today. The Joker got through in straight sets against Borna Gojo from Croatia. And with the match tomorrow, Monday in New York, Labor Day holiday. Now, the cheering you're going to be hearing is from those boisterous, raucous, in-your-face New Yorkers. They don't take a backward step, but amongst those cheers will be Alex de Minaur's Australian compatriots, and I don't know if they're going to be cheering the loudest for the quiet Australian achiever Alex de Minaur, but hopefully he'll make another significant step forward in his career tomorrow, and hopefully, we definitely wish him all the best, that he can be successful against the Russian third seed, Daniil Medvedev. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and also in the chat. We'd love to know your thoughts about Alex de Minaur. Is he getting a bit overhyped? Have you noticed him progressing up the rankings this year? Or are you just, is your tennis all about Rafa, the Joker? Andy Murray, is this his last US Open? Time will tell. But I'll tell you what, as time goes on and Rafa follows Roger into the tennis, professional tennis circuit sunset, and the Joker, regardless of how long he carries on, it's blokes like Medvedev and Hijikata and Yannick Sinner, Alex de Minaur, Taylor Fritz, Brian Shelton, Taylor Fritz, Jack Draper from the UK. There's been a lot of unseeded players at this year's US Open succeeding. So let us know what you think. Who have you got your eye on? I was just getting a bit carried away there, thinking of all those unseeded players. But it is true that the US Open this year has been great for the unseeded players. The young fella Stricker from Switzerland got through qualifying and turned out Stefanos Tsitsipas sent him packing in the second round, I think it was. So it's looking good for not just US men's tennis, but the future of men's tennis is looking pretty competitive. So provided that Carlos Alcaraz doesn't hog the limelight and has plenty of people competing with him for tournaments and trophies and titles, I'd say for all tennis fans around the globe, whether you're local or global, and we know you're definitely not general, we'd say that as a tennis-loving community, there's plenty of entertainment ahead for us on the men's side of the draw. But in the immediate future, it's going to be Alex de Minaur fronting up tomorrow, early tomorrow, local Australian time. In the fourth round, the round of 16, he's going to front up against Daniil Medvedev, the third seed. Don't go away. We'll be right back. We tell stories, and our story is tennis, and that is the story, Player Watch, showcasing Alex de Minaur as part of our Spotlight series. That is the Spotlight on Alex de Minaur, done and dusted. The other day we did a Spotlight series episode on Rinky Hijikata, and the week before we did one on Jordan Thompson, who notched up his 100th career win as a professional on the ATP Tour. So we hope you enjoyed that insight into Alex de Minaur and learnt a little bit about him. Maybe you didn't know he was so quiet, but I'll tell you what, he plays some great tennis. His tennis speaks volumes, and he is very well respected among the ranks of his Australian tennis professional peers. And if you were going to pick a guy to have a quiet beer with, it's going to be Alex de Minaur every day of the week. And we wish him all the best tomorrow. And let's wrap up things with a little bit of housekeeping and what's coming up on this Australian Open Live, produced by Wise Words Media, live from Melbourne, Australia. So we don't usually cover matches of top 10, top 20 players, but when you got two Australian men competing in the fourth round of a Grand Slam in New York, haven't seen something exciting like that happening for about 20 years. Leighton Hewitt was the last Australian to win the US men's title way back in 2001, I'm pretty sure it was. But just a little bit of housekeeping. Tomorrow, our audio-only radio-style coverage. It's live match play, tournament coverage, point by point. We'll be covering the match between Alex de Minaur and Daniil Medvedev. We're going to get going about 6 o'clock local Melbourne time tomorrow morning. The match, we've put all the information you need there in the chat box. It'll also be replicated in a couple of other places. And all you need to know is that not before 4 p.m. Local time in New York, it's currently, well, that's 12 hours away. This match is 12 hours away. It's currently 4:30 a.m. in New York, 26 degrees and clear. But Alex de Minaur won't be thinking about that. He'll be getting lots of good sleep and planning his nutrition schedule as he wakes up. His match will not take place before 4 p.m. local time in New York. And he's playing on Louis Armstrong Stadium, and he's slated to appear to play Daniil Medvedev. We've put the schedule for the tournament play for Monday's a Labour holiday as the Yanks wake up in about well, they're probably New York, the city that never sleeps. But day 8, Monday the 4th of September, Arthur Ashe Stadium. Matches kick off about 12 p.m. in New York. And there's 2 matches slated there in the afternoon, 2 matches slated in the evening, and on Louis Armstrong Stadium, 3 matches slated for the afternoon. But if they go the distance, Alex de Minaur's match will not start on Louis Armstrong Stadium before 4 p.m. If you're interested in any of the other matches taking place in New York tomorrow, we've got a little bit of time up our sleeves, so yeah, we don't mind filling you in. What's happening on the grandstand court from 11 a.m. It is wall-to-wall men's and women's doubles matches. There's a mixed doubles match as well on the grandstand court. But on the outside courts, court 17, court 5, there is a lot of other men's and women's doubles matches. A lot of mixed doubles also getting into their second round. And we go through the other outside courts there. There's the first and second round junior girls and junior boys matches continuing, which a lot of those started today Australian time. So if you're really into your tennis, you can't go wrong tomorrow. You can spend the day at home. If you're not in New York, kick up your heels with a quiet packet of crisps and a Coke or whatever else you can find in your pantry and enjoy it. But if you're serious about your Grand Slam tennis and you want to see a good quality match tomorrow, you've got to get a bit of this. But actually, it's a bit of this. And we'll be wrapping up now, actually, and winding down. Thank you so much for joining us here at this Australian Open Life. We tell stories, and our story is tennis. And the tennis story tomorrow, we'll be kicking off our live match play tournament coverage, audio only, radio style coverage, point by point, bringing you that match play, the 4th round of 16 match between Daniil Medvedev, the 3rd seed, the Russian, and he's up against Alex de Minaur, who's got the better of him the last 2 times they've met in 2023. A straight sets win their last match to de Minaur, and in 3 sets de Minaur got over the line. So the signs are good for this young chap to get the job done and head into his second ever quarterfinal. Did that last year in 2022, but his best result is a semi-final defeat last year at Flushing Meadow, New York. So we wish him all the best. So hope you can join us tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun because we don't usually cover quarterfinals at Grand Slams, but it was too good an opportunity to pass up. So let us know what you think. The chances of this young Australian are can he go on and win the whole thing? Well, I tell you what, he's got his work cut out for him, because at some point he's going to have to cross paths with the Joker. But there's also an unseeded American in the mix. Brian Shelton got through against Tommy Paul, the 14th seed American, and Brian Shelton is going to lock horns with Francis Tiafoe, the 10th seed. So many unseeded players getting through this year in the men's side of the draw. Anyway, that's about it for now. You've been listening to me, the bloke who walks, and you are listening to the Player Watch. We've been delving into the Spotlight series, showcasing and pointing a spotlight on the career, the 2023 progress of Alex de Minaur, the 13th seeded Australian from originally from the western suburbs of Sydney. That's his origin, but spends a lot of his time speaking fluent Spanish in Spain. A very well-rounded individual is Alex de Minaur. So that's it for us for tonight. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and we will chat to you very soon when you join us tomorrow, sometime around 6 o'clock local Melbourne time here in Australia. And we can't wait to see if Alex de Minaur has got the chops to get through to a quarter-final, a semi-final and a final in New York in the Big Apple. We'll find out. So join us then, and we'll chat to you soon.